everyone, I'm Deb and this is DB Designs and Sewing Australia. Welcome to all my subscribers and welcome to anybody who's new. It's lovely to have you here. Now today I'm going to go through the back pleat of the Dressy Talk pattern that's called the Oversized shirt. Now this is the shirt here. Now this pattern comes with no instructions. Dressy Talk does have a few videos on YouTube that go through things like the hidden button placket, and it really is just doing it more as a generalized tutorial. It doesn't show you how to do the pleat in this shirt. So this is the pattern that I have cut out, and as you can see, it's got something up here that looks like a dart, another piece here that goes all the way down to the bottom that looks like a dart. These are not sewn. Ask me now how I know that even the little one's not sewn. A little bit of unpicking on that shirt because I did sew it to start with. And you could have left it sewn, but you would have been able to see the stitch marks, and so I wasn't happy with that. So you don't need to stitch those darts, but you do need to transfer those markings onto your fabric from your pattern piece. This is the center front. So here's the yoke here. So there's a lot of fabric to get rid of in those pleats. So I cut out I cut out 2 yokes and joined them together because I'm not sure if it's, what does it say? Oh, it says to cut 2, so it means cut 2 on the fold. So they do want you to do a lined yoke or a burrito method. I don't think I did the burrito method. I hand stitched down the front sections of my yoke, but that's just my choice. Sometimes I don't always do burrito method. Now, so you can see what's going on, I have marked the pattern pieces. And this is the right side of my fabric. How can I tell? Because I have got some red X's on the wrong side. I did have this all marked in the red chalk, but I didn't think you could see it well enough on camera. So the first thing we've got to think about is, when we're looking at the shirt, which side is crossing over which. Now, in keeping with the right over left, and if you have a lap zip, you are doing the lap right over left, and when it comes around to the back, you are doing what looks like left over right, but if you turn that around the other way, if this was the front, then it would look right over left. So you're working it circularly around your body, which is generally why you don't put zips in the right-hand side of a dress, a side zip, which could probably be an issue for people that are left-handed. But you could put an invisible zip in there, and if you did put a zip in, you would need to make sure the lap was going to the back, not to the front, so that from the front it looked clean. First of all, we need to decide how this is going to go, and so we know that this is going to be the underneath side, and this is going to be the overside, like that. So what we need to do is grab this pleat and pull it all the way over to this pleat. So you can see this is meeting that line now. So we've got this is the small dart or pleat, and we're just bringing it over to meet the beginning of the large pleat or dart on the other side. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Got these together like we're going to sew a dart. Those sides together. We just pop a pin in that to keep it together. So there's your other piece. And we're bringing it across to meet the other side. And there you will have your whole piece. This doesn't drape all that well because it's unwashed calico. But you can see it's created that pleat in the back. So let's go through it once again. We'll take out all these pins. And just be careful when you go to sew this because you need to put stitches in it before you sew the yoke on. It's best to stitch it closed just to secure it before you put your yoke on. So here's your piece. You've got these pieces marked. Now, I would definitely be marking, I don't want to call them open darts. Let's just call them open darts. I would definitely be marking this point here because, which is your lower level of the point of your dart, because that's what's going to make us know that we've got it in exactly the right spot. Now you can pop a pin in here. We know that this is correct because it's also the center of your very large open darts. And we're just pulling this all the way across to meet your other dart leg from your large dart. And so we've got the same with this one. Here's our dart. Take that pin out because we'll run over it now. And here's our other dart. And we are bringing it over to meet it. Now, depending how stiff your fabric is, and I did this with mine, it's probably not the right thing to do, but so that this pleat would sit flatter like this, it ends up with a little bit of a dog's ear up here. Well, I sewed the yoke on and then I just trimmed that off. So I actually sewed the yoke on without that. Let's just sew this up on the sewing machine. Here it is sewn up, and with my shirt so that it would hang better at the back, so that pleat would hang better. I actually sewed the dog's ear like that, and then I just trimmed it off. I gave it a go of forcing it down so that it didn't have the dog's ear, but I felt that the shirt didn't hang as nicely at the back, like as straight. One of the sides was slightly a little bit puckered up, sort of. So if that was down like that, you can see it sort of had like a bit of a kink in it, and that's why I put it up there and put that, trimmed that dog's leg or dog's ear off it. Now, let's see if our yoke fits. Here's our centre back. There's our markings. Now the seam allowance on this pattern is 1 centimetre seam allowances. I don't think it tells you that anywhere in the pattern, but what the pattern does have, and it's easier to show you on this piece, is it's got 2 lines. So it's got the cutting line and the sewing line, and that is actually 1 centimetre. That's how I worked out what the seam allowances were supposed to be. So there's not very much instruction at all, but you can still get a good result. The only tricky thing I had was working out how to sew this back together, and I just fiddled around with it a bit. So as we can see, it's going to fit perfectly. So as you can see, the yoke fits perfectly. Even our centre backs have lined up. Wouldn't have mattered if that was slightly off. And the whole yoke fits perfectly on there. Let me show you what the underside looks like. The underside just looks like a really big box pleat. So you can see how this looks. So there's a view of what the finished shirt looks like. Doesn't hang all that nice in unwashed calico. So what you're doing is this is the centre front. You're taking this whole big pleat and you are putting it back onto itself. And you can see there's the dog's ear there, which is created from the little pleat / unsewn dart. So one side gets it more than the other side. And as I said, if your fabric's really fine, it's probably okay to keep it in there, but I snipped it off mine, thinking I could see how I could manipulate it and get it to fit onto the yoke by pushing it down, which alters the way, and by pushing it down, it actually alters the way the pleat hangs. And so there it is pushed down. It does actually meet exactly, but it didn't hang as nicely for me. So if you're left with that dog's ear and you're happy with the way it's hanging, you can just snip that off. You'll certainly know once you've stitched across that part there. So remembering that when you're looking at your garment, face up, so fashion fabric side up. This side, which will be on your right hand, gets folded and put in first, and then this side, which will be on your left hand, will be the second part that you put over. And you're really just pinching down this, what looks like a dart, all the way down. So it's really much easier than you think, because I've done pattern making and I thought, whoa, what do you do with this? No instructions. I just don't know if I was making this pattern if I would put this what looks like a dart in there. And if you sew it, you're going to be able to see it on the outside. Are you supposed to sew the underneath one? There's no instructions. There's nothing written anywhere about it. Yes, you wouldn't be able to see the underneath one, which is under there, but you would be able to see the top one. So what is it for? Why isn't it just one giant dart like that? Put it on something, even if it's on someone else's back, or even laying flat on your table, and check that the pleat is hanging how you want it to hang. And then you can do the burrito method. As I said, I think I hand stitched mine on the inside, but that's because I like hand stitching. So it's, you know, that's just people's personal preference. And I have been wearing this shirt, that's why it's a tiny bit rumpled or not freshly ironed. Yes, I hand stitched it down because I didn't do a striped whoops. I didn't do a striped yoke because I thought you might be able to see it through it. So I just did a plain yoke. I didn't want you be able to see the navy through the white on that, but much easier than you think, a little bit daunting to start with. Just always remembering that what you're actually concentrating on, you can do those little darts first if you want to, but it's really, we'll call it a dart because it's got legs that go all the way down. It's really the outside or the really large dart that you want to get down. So definitely make sure you mark those. And when you mark things, mark them a fair way down. I would do like 5 centimeters or 2 inches, just so you can get the proper line. And even mark the bottom so that when you've got your fabric and you're folding it, you think, yes, that is right. Especially in a very fine fabric or in a rayon or a viscose, you really want it to hang properly. So that's how you do the back pleat. If anyone's got any questions, please ask me. I hope that clears it up for people because I do know that it has been an issue for a few people and I can certainly understand that. And as I said, the button placket, the collar and everything are on videos for Dressy Talk on YouTube. So it shows you how to do that, but there was no video about this diagonal pleat back shirt, which is called the oversized shirt, but it's about the diagonal pleat. I do really like it in the striped fabric and I like it in that light blue and white striped fabric too. I've already got a light blue and white striped shirt. And this shirt I'm wearing today is an all-in easy fit shirt in just some shirting that I got from Spotlight, I think. I think it was Spotlight. Maybe it was someone else. All my rulers have come off their hooks and fallen on the floor. And I'm wearing my new Falconer pants. And I'm just wearing it. Looks like it's tucked in, but it's not. Actually has a piece of elastic, which I spent ages looking for. And then I found it on the mannequin. So rather than tucking bulky things into your pants, if you want it to look like it's tucked in, you can just use a piece of elastic. I've left the shirt out at the back, but you can tuck it in all the way around. I'm guessing everybody knows the trick with the elastic, using it to make things look like they're tucked in. Just got to have a piece of elastic that you've sewn up the ends of so that it fits your waist, and just tuck anything up inside, a jumper, anything. If you want to know anything else about the Dressy Talk shirt, please let me know. If you need any clarifications on anything I told you, please let me know. Please like and subscribe. Everybody have a good sewing week. Bye.